Hi all, I'm Beth McNally from Northwestern University, and I'm the chair of the BCVS Council now, and I'm delighted to be joined by Dr. Lauren Wold, Dr. Sakti Sadiappan, and Dr. Jill Tardif, who were the organizers of the Basic Cardiovascular Sciences meeting that was just held virtually. And it really was just a fantastic meeting. And so I thought I'd start by asking them what they each enjoyed most about the meeting. So Dr. Wold, tell me what you like best.
Thanks, Beth. Thank you all for attending. We really weren't sure what was going to come of the virtual format, but I think we all learned that this was a fun way to interact with our colleagues in the current times. What I really enjoyed was the keynote by Dr. Heinrich Tagmar. I've respected Heinrich and have really looked up to him since I started in science, and it was really nice to be able to interact with him actually in the chat while he was giving his keynote, and he was so appreciative, and it was such an honor to really be a part of that. And biochemistry is not my strong suit, and it was really neat I learned a lot. And so that was what was really exciting. I can't wait to go back now and watch the lecture again. So that was probably my biggest number one from the meeting.
I really enjoyed it too. And I have to say, the first time I saw somebody talking and putting notes in during their own talk, you had to stop and sort of think about it, but it turned out to be a really lovely feature of it. And I know his lecture in particular, I've sent every member of my lab, especially my summer students, to watch it already. So what a fantastic talk that was. Jill, what did you like best?
So, it's always like trying to pick your favorite kid, right? Can't do that. But in this case, I really enjoyed very much the cardio-oncology program. That what we tried to do, I just want to point out that last year we started paying a bit of attention to how we constructed the sessions and developed this approach of using a outstanding clinical investigator as sort of our table setter, if you will, to help encourage everyone to understand a little bit better the actual clinical syndrome that we're all studying, for example, and using the clinical state to help us pick the best questions. And I think that this particular session just exemplified that. Bonnie Key's first talk was just, you were hanging on every word, and it was so clear. And you were able to follow that talk and understand what she was talking about and the questions she was asking without ever having laid hands on a patient, which is really quite remarkable. And I really then followed up fantastically by Lauren Field and Carrie Linneman, I think, as well, from Alabama. And it was just a tremendous lineup. And the discussion, the online discussion during that talk, was just transcendent and fun, and people pointing out to each other what was important, and a lot of, wow, I never thought of that. And it was really just exemplified a lot of what we've wanted to do with the BCVS.
Oh, great. And Sakti, what'd you like best?
Thank you, Beth. So I think I was very excited. I mean, I have like two different ways. I mean, one is the non-scientific sessions, like Women in Science. That was one of my favorite sessions. This was on Zoom in call. There were like more than 150 participants. The keynote speaker, she was from outside, Lee Ann Piano. Very exciting, very motivational, highly interactive, like asking questions all the time. So the participants were very challenged. It was a very interactive session. And also the other one, I would really like to have that session every year or every day for early careers. This is also another Zoom-in call. And the Zoom had a lot of options. I didn't know that. I mean, you can have a small groups. You can, randomly assign, and then you can have interactive sessions. So these two are like non-scientific. Comes to scientific, I think I learned a lot this time on the heart failure with preserved ejection fraction. Again, this is the most important cardiovascular risk we have. 70% of the heart failure patients start from a heart failure with preserved ejection fraction. So there were two sessions. In particular, I liked the one the session called diastolic and contractile dysfunction in heart failure. There were three speakers moderated by John Rolfe from University of Madison. The speakers were Dr. Knoner, Dr. Seltzer, and Dr. Westphal. Again, being in the myofilament field, I always focus on studying how sarcomere dysfunction alter or changes the contractile dysfunction, and these sessions were very informative. Again, it's a lot of sessions were informative, but particularly this was one of my favorite.
So you guys did, a giant pivot here to get this to be a virtual meeting. And again, kudos to you all for putting together a great meeting. So I thought we'd reflect for a minute what we liked about the virtual format. So I know one of the things we're all enjoying is that the meeting is now going to be available to us for up to 90 days. So with concurrent sessions, you don't have to choose. You can go back and rewatch, or you can watch something you missed the first time. So I know that's a great thing. Lauren, what do you like about the virtual format?
So I echo what you just said. I think having it available for 3 months from now we can go back and listen again to talks that we really enjoyed, but also listen to the ones that we missed. The other thing that I thought was really neat was the comments from the chat for all the presenters are uploaded. So if they want to reach out to someone who maybe had a good question or follow up with further information, those are available. And so I think it was much more interactive than I thought it would be. And everyone was very engaged. It was fun to, say hi to your friends. I think it would be fun if we do it again to have little avatars and such. But I was just thoroughly impressed with the format and the posters having those available. I think that was a really neat experience. And, when we were first putting this together, I think we all thought, well, how are we we can't miss the posters. That's such a big part of this. And it's such a big part for our trainees to be presenting. And so I think that really came off, without a hitch. And so now if you have further, questions, reach out to the authors. And I'm sure that, we all have Zoom. We schedule a meeting. I'm sure they would love to talk about their work.
Yeah. Jill, what did you like about the virtual format?
So actually more things than I had anticipated, I can put it that way. I think I want to build a little bit on what Lauren was saying about the sort of surprising amount of immediacy during the talks, with the chat window being next to the actual talk, and how, I very much missed the in-person meeting. I'll be perfectly honest about this. This is out here in Arizona, I don't get to run into my colleagues very often. And so it's a very big deal for me to travel to these meetings and get to see everyone and exchange ideas. And so for me, it was very important to try to recreate that on some level. And actually the chat sidelight worked really surprisingly well. People were bantering, as Lauren pointed out. People were asking excellent questions. And I think what it ended up doing was, as we all know, there were very limited opportunities to ask questions during talks at these meetings, right? We have a couple of people and it's, the setting's a little odd sometimes. But what we seem to have done was recreated the after the talk time, right? When we all separate out and we all banter with each other and have questions, people ask questions after the talks of the speaker, sort of thing. And I think somehow that chat recreated that, which was a lot of fun. That's a very big part of every session for me. So I just enjoyed that. And I'll have to say, I've received some feedback already that many of the attendees really enjoyed it as well, because, you miss this face-to-face, so.
Yeah. Sakti, what did you like about virtual?
Thanks, Beth. Again, the excitement was very high. Overall, the first time virtual experience was very, very successful, very positive, highly welcomed by the participants. And that's what I was so happy, because, people like the side text or chat box, people can show they are there, they are watching, they are asking questions, they are saying greetings. When you go to the face-to-face meeting in a very long auditorium, you don't know who's sitting. Here you can see who's there, who's asking questions, who's posting. The other very important or exciting thing is that speakers from all over the world, from Australia, from Taiwan, from Japan, no travels required, right? So they were like, even at this time, even from Europe, middle of the night, they were waiting, they were answering questions, very, very, positive. Actually, the virtual meeting was very, very successful. I think we should really have, this kind of interactive virtual, not just for BCVS alone, but also some other AHA scientific sessions.
Well, I just want to wrap this up by saying, like, I know we all miss not being together and not seeing each other. At the same time, I know we all, we didn't have to travel, so that was a nice thing, and did allow our colleagues from around the world to participate, which was really a very special event. And to have this number of attendees participate in this meeting, it was really something very, very special to see. And I know we all commented beforehand, one slightly odd thing about the meeting was not being able to hear people's applause. And so let me just try to imagine this is the entire crowd applauding for you three right now. So great job. Thank you. Just thanks again, and a terrific meeting all, and that will be very hard to top that. But again, I look forward to being in person again very soon. Thank you.